Hello and welcome. Today I'm adding King of the Monsters from the Neo Geo Arcade Collection 4 for the Evercade to my ever-growing list where I rank every Evercade game ever. Originally released in 1991, developed by SNK and released on the Neo Geo hardware. At the time, I recall it being a bit of a showcase for the graphics, the large sprites, and damage to the city. It was one that I wanted to pick up, but it wasn't on the systems I had. Well, it was later ported to the Super Nintendo and Mega Drive, I believe. And I think I did play that and found it quite disappointing. I think it was the Super Nintendo version. I don't know, I only played it briefly. It's not a game that I had played to any great degree until getting this collection. Story-wise, well, I mean, it's a King of the Monsters thing. It's set in a futuristic 1996 Japan, where you've got your 6 monsters battling to claim the title King of the Monsters. That's it. That's a narrative masterpiece, obviously. I mean, it's all you need. Who needs a story when you're basically just having monsters smack down against each other? I mean, when you're watching the Godzilla movies and kaiju movies, do you really care about the story? Actually, there are a few where you do, but mostly it's just all about the big kaiju action, and that's exactly what you get here. Anyway, let's go down to the breakdown of all the other bits. So let's start off with the
graphics.
For a 1991 Neo Geo game, it is pretty impressive. You've got the destructible cities, your large colourful sprites. You can tell what's supposed to be what, but it is quite busy as well. But again, it's hand in hand with having monsters fighting in a city. There's explosions going on everywhere, and yeah, I think it looks the part. I mean, there are much better looking Neo Geo games that came later, but for an early one, yeah, it was decent looking.
Sound and music.
Sound effects are decent. There's a nice satisfying crunching sound as you slam your enemies down. The punch noises are suitably satisfying, and there's some environmental effects as well, and it all adds to the feel of it. So yeah, it's good on that front. The music is not the most catchy ever, but it really suits the atmosphere of the game. It's very much like something you might expect to hear in a kaiju movie. Not that I've ever really thought about the music I'd hear in a kaiju movie, but yeah, it really has the right feel for the game and suits the action, so all good there. Even if it isn't a soundtrack that you'll remember after playing the game.
Gameplay.
King of the Monsters is a wrestling game with a kaiju skin. A pretty shallow wrestling game at that. This is a game that really rests on the aesthetic and the feeling of, smacking down with other monsters. The combat itself is very simple and it gets pretty dull fairly quickly. I've never been a big fan of wrestling games anyway, so it's not really my genre, but it is playable. It doesn't really hold up all that well today. It doesn't have the most complex mechanics, but you have fun with it, particularly playing multiplayer. The single player does, I'll say, get quite repetitive, and you have to fight through each of the monsters twice to beat the game, and well, it doesn't really stay all that interesting all the way. There are some difficulty spikes, but again, with the dip switches or playing on AES mode, you have difficulty options.
Overall opinion.
Fighting, or rather wrestling against other kaiju, is pretty fun. There is a definite fun factor to the game, even if it is very shallow and gets a bit tedious after a while. Well, it gets tedious quite quickly, to be perfectly honest, but the multiplayer is fun, well, as long as you both enjoy kaiju and that sort of thing, and there isn't a huge amount of different characters. The game is also fairly light on game modes, but there's enough to keep you entertained just about. It's not one you'll be playing for hours, and it's certainly not the best game on the collection, but it is a notable game for the Neo Geo, one of their more famous early games, and I'm glad it's included.
Ranking.
Placing King of the Monsters on my ever-growing list where I rank every Evercade game ever, I've elected to put it above Lunar Journey, but below Windjammers, placing it at 238 out of 466 games that I've ranked so far. Anyway, that wraps it up for this video, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.